Okay. Good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. We're so sorry to be starting, I think, about 20 minutes, 23 minutes late today. Actually, because we had some technical glitches and we had to sort them out. But then I'm happy to finally be here to be talking to you. So, it is such a blessing to be in a new year and have that feeling of a fresh start, to be able to start doing things right. And in fact, people all over the world go ahead to make New Year resolutions, which are basically goals and targets that they want to hit in time. And they want to hit by the time it is 31 December, 11:59 p.m. My name is Eberechukwu Enyinna. I'm a medical doctor and I also work with Redalia. And because a lot of people go ahead to make resolutions, make those goals, make those targets that they intend to hit, our topic today, what we'll be discussing, will basically be New Year resolutions, setting goals, and achieving them. Of course, you do not have to wait until it is 1st of January of a new year to be able to start making your New Year resolutions, or to be able to start keeping your New Year resolutions. What I always tell people is that as soon as possible, it is good to start making your resolutions. That means even if it is as late as December 20th in a previous year, it is best to make your resolutions and to actually start implementing them. Start actually trying to keep those resolutions. But then if you're like millions of other people who like to actually start on January 1, for me, I cannot start on January 1. If the date is rigid, I'd like very much likely push it down the road to the 2nd, to the 3rd, and then I might not even actually go ahead to keep that resolution. So I always start the very next time that is possible. Even if it is December 31. It's easier for me that way. But for others, if it works for you to start on the 1st of January of a new year, then that's all well and good. But then there are things you have to do. There are things you have to ensure that your resolutions comply to. Kind of like basic rules, principles that your goals and your resolutions have to attend to. I'll try to keep this video short so it is straight to the point and understandable. Try to keep it under 10 minutes, but if it is more than 10 minutes, oh, well, I don't know what to do. So, first of all, if one of the most important things you have to know is that just with about anything else, proficiency, getting good at setting goals and implementing them, has to do with practice. This is something you have to do over and over and get used to and become better at. Making your goals, setting your targets and your resolutions, and actually implementing them and getting them to come to pass. If you get on the internet, there are so many information that you get about, so much information you get about setting goals, about meeting your targets. But I'd like to just go through very few steps today that you have to use to get to your goal. First of all is that you have to make sure that if you set a goal, for example, say you want to learn a new language, or you want to stop procrastination, or you'd like to, if you're a professional and you want to be a better company executive, if you're the CEO or the CFO or the CTO, Chief Technical Officer, you want to get better at your job, those are goals. Now, when you have those goals, you have to make sure, when you think about something you need to achieve, you have to make sure it is clear. You have to make sure it is clear and specific. Now, clarity and making your goal specific means that your goal is understandable. It is when you say it out, when you write it out, yeah, okay. First of all, actually, I made a mistake. You should actually write down your goal. It is very important to write down something, a resolution, a goal, a target that you intend to hit. Very, very important. And that is because there is always the danger of getting very busy in your day-to-day activities and actually forgetting that you set a goal for yourself, that you set a target to hit by the end of the year or by any time within the year. It is very easy for you to forget because you've got family to juggle with, you've got your job, you've got so many other things to do. So first of all, write down something you make as a resolution or you put up as a goal. Now, when you write it down, read it back to yourself and make sure it is clear and specific and it is easily understood. So an example of a clear goal is what I gave you as an example. You want to become a better company executive, or you want to become a better singer. You want to become a better artist. You want to learn a new language, like I said, stop procrastination. That's very clear and it's very specific. But if you said something like you want to have a better quality of life. Now, it is understood. Your grammar is understood. Better quality of life. Very clear. But it is also very confusing if you get down to it, because having a better quality of life consists of so many things. It has so many components. Are we talking about your health? Are we talking about something in your job that you need to change? Are we talking about you being able to improve your interpersonal skills with people? Are we talking about you trying to stop procrastination just because procrastination affects your life negatively? So you have to identify what exactly it is in your life that you'd like to change in order to have a better quality of life. So it is important to actually narrow down your goal. Don't just put out something ambiguous like to have a better quality of life. No, that is not clear enough. Now, take that to that you'd like to be a better singer. If you'd like to be a better singer, it is easily understood, and you can easily pinpoint at what you need to do. In fact, being a better singer can actually be a component of having a better quality of life. Being good at your career, being better at your career can actually be a pointer to having a better quality of life. So you have to actually narrow down your goal, be specific, and make it clear. Now, secondly is that you need to make sure it is attainable. You need to make sure it is a goal. You need to make sure it is a goal that you can achieve. Now, is the goal realistic? It's a question you need to ask yourself. Is it something you can achieve within, if you set out a goal to say by July 2018, you'd like to maybe improve your interpersonal skills. That is achievable. But if you set out a goal by July 2018, you'd like to get into space, or you'd like to visit the moon, that is not very realistic. Now, except of course, an organization like NASA comes up and says, oh, would like to take some civilians with us to space or to the moon. And then they declare a competition, and then you win some tickets and you hitch a ride to the moon. Now, that is not because of your doing. It is not something you pushed for. It is not a goal you put out your resources to achieve. It is just because you were lucky that before July there was a competition that was held by NASA and you won some tickets and you went to the moon. So that is not something on the surface, because there is nothing really that is absolute in life. But on the surface, it is not a goal that is realistic. it is always good to put down your goal, to look at it, write it down, look at it, and make sure it is something you can attain, something very realistic for you. The next step is to make sure that your goal is relevant. And relevance in terms of, is it something you really need in your life? Have you put into consideration your relationship, your marriage? Have you put into consideration your family, people that are going to be affected by this goal? Is it worth pursuing this goal? Is it something that will improve your life? Or is it just an academic exercise? You'd have to make sure that your goal is relevant in your life. It is something that you need to do. Otherwise, you waste your time pursuing, you waste your time and energy actually pursuing goals and trying to hit targets and neglecting those that will have impact on your life. So you have to make sure that it is really relevant to your life. If you ensure the relevance of your goal, the next step is to now look at what you wrote down and try to break up your goal into little bits and pieces that are implementable. Look at your overall goal, find out if there are components and sub-goals that you need to identify within that big goal, break down your goal into those sub-goals, and try to hit them. So for example, if you say, I'd like to become a better or a more effective company executive by the end of 2018. It's a realistic goal. It is an attainable goal. It is clear and it is specific. And it is something that is relevant in your life because you'd actually like to improve your life and do better at your job. Now, the next step is to make sure that you break it down into sub-goals. First of all, you have to identify if there are professional courses you need to take. You have to make sure if there are leadership simulations, that there are workshops and seminars that are relevant that you need to take that will improve your professional life. Identify those and put that as a sub-goal. The next is to find out if there is any literature you need to read. Are there any books, magazines, any readings, articles you need to subscribe to online to read to become more knowledgeable and know what you're doing. You've got to identify that and put that down as a sub-goal, and also make sure you start reading those articles, you start reading those books, and you start subscribing to those magazines. You also have to make sure to identify any character flaws in you. Are you someone who gets angry easily? Are you a micromanager when you don't really need to be a micromanager? You need to identify that character flaw and set it as a sub-goal to get rid of it. So, I've given 3 examples. Professional courses you need to take, literature you need to read, character flaws you need to get rid of. There might be more, depending on who you are and depending on where you work. You can identify those things and make them sub-goals and try to hit them. By the time you hit those sub-goals, you would have achieved the bigger goal of becoming a more effective company executive by the end of 2018. So, that's that step about measuring your goal. Break them down into subunits, measurable subunits, break them down into implementable subunits and sub-goals, and try to hit those sub-goals. The next step is to timestamp your goal. Now remember that all these steps are steps that you're taking even before you start implementing. Of course, when you get into implementing your goal, if you get into trying to achieve your goal, you can always have tweaks, and fixes, a little bit of change here and there, which we'll still get into down the road. But you have to do all these steps. You have to take all these decisions before you start actually working on the goal. So we were on time stamping your goal. You have to time stamp, allocate a time, a period within which you hope to attain your goal. So like I've been saying, you want to become a better leader, you want to become a better company executive by the time it is December 31, 2018. Now that's a timestamp. It is a timestamp. Of course, there are sub-goals within that big goal, and you also have to timestamp each of those sub-goals. So you have to make sure that you allocate a time within which you'd hope to start implementing a sub-goal and the time you need to be done with implementing the sub-goal. The danger in not time stamping your goal is that you can actually be 25, put out a goal that you'd like to achieve when you're 27, and you wake up one day you're 60 and you haven't started implementing your goal. You haven't started achieving your goal. It is very possible, and that's a big danger in not time stamping your goal. So very important, time stamp your goal. Next, you need to surround yourself with people who will help you. It's important to get yourself into an environment where you have people that you aspire to become like. People who are doing the things you'd like to do. People who would understand what you're all about, what you're trying to achieve. You have to be very careful about family and friends who don't understand what you're about. Now, don't get me wrong, they have your best interests at heart. They're trying to keep you safe. They're trying to give you the best in life. Best advice, really. Trying to set you up so you wouldn't be disappointed in the end. But you have to be very, very careful of those. If there is a goal you need to achieve, especially if it is something that others will look at and deem very unattainable or a waste of time, you need to get away from those people. Now, it doesn't mean you should stop talking to those people. No, of course not. But you need to be very careful when you're talking to them about your goal. You need to be careful about what you receive from them as feedback. So if you'd like to become a better artist, if you're someone who sketches with a pencil on a piece of paper, you want to become a better artist, you'd have to go away from people who are traders, who buy and sell. Really, because by the time you know it, you abandon your craft and you start buying and selling. And you might not be very good at it anyway, because that's not what you're about. Now, if you're someone who wants to buy and sell and you want to be better at it, of course, you cannot surround yourself with artists. Because by the time you know it, you start turning yourself into an artist because they really don't know what you're all about. You have to surround yourself with traders also. You have to understand how they get their customers. You have to understand how things are done. You have to keep up with the industry trends. So you have to surround yourself with people who know what you're about, people who are doing what you're doing, people who have set similar goals for themselves, and you encourage yourselves along the way. It is very important. Next step is to reward yourself. Actually, before you reward yourself, next step should be having an open mind to know that you have to pursue your goal or your resolution with a single mind. You have to attack it, set in motion things that will make you achieve your goals. But you also have to have an open mind to make sure you can do some refining. You can tweak this here and tweak that there to make sure you don't just get set in your ways. Because certain things might be going wrong, but because you just think that you have to be on a particular path. You have to continue doing the same things, even when you do not get any any changes, any different results, then you have to have that open mind, to have that conversation with yourself, to make sure you can tweak and you can change this here, you can change that there. Not major changes, but little changes that will help you on your way to achieving the initial goal or resolution that you set yourself up for. So that's the next step, having an open mind to be able to make some adjustments, to be able to refine your method, to be able to refine your path, really, toward achieving your goal. The next step is to reward yourself. When you achieve your goal, in the end, there is a huge surge of adrenaline, really, that you get. It blows your mind. It's depending on what goal it is. But by the time you look back to when you made that resolution, by the time you look back to when you put down that goal on a piece of paper, and you now look at yourself, whether it is you trying to lose weight or build up your body, or to become a better person in a company, or to become a better artist, stop procrastination, whatever it is you set for yourself, when you achieve that goal and when you see that change has happened in you and in your life, boy, there's that good feeling that comes over you, and you need to reinforce that. You need to reinforce that by getting yourself rewarded. So that would take the form of simple things, really, like taking yourself out. Go to a restaurant and have a good meal. Have a good drink. Take friends and family out. Make them understand what the occasion is all about. Tell them about the goal you set up for yourself. Tell them how you've attained that goal. And if there are any support systems you've gotten from them, tell them and appreciate them and have a good time. It reinforces something in your mind that goals are a beautiful thing to pursue, that resolutions are a beautiful thing to make, and that there are things you can attain and that there is a reward at the end. You can buy yourself a shirt, something as cheap as buying yourself a shirt. You can buy a pair of jeans that look good. Or if you have the money, you can splurge and buy yourself a new car if you really need it. Make sure to reward yourself when you achieve a goal. It does some reinforcing in your mind, and it is very important. Each step that I have described, that I have talked about, is very important. None is more important than the other. They all have to be done in order to achieve your goal, in order to hit your target, or to achieve that resolution that you put out for yourself at the beginning of a year. It is also important, before I finish, to tell you that you should be careful not to take upon yourself so many goals at the same time. It is very confusing when you take onto yourself so many goals. You have a burnout. There is something in the medical profession we call a burnout. I think it also exists in other professions. But you will have a burnout if you take so many goals on yourself. You'll be trying to hit so many targets. In fact, sometimes you might have to... You will find out that so many goals will overlap and their processes will overlap. One will keep you away from achieving the other. You might be spending time improving your piano skills, because you have that goal of trying to improve your piano skills, and that time takes away from you going to the gym and working on your career at the same time. So you have to be careful in combining goals. Not that you cannot combine goals. You can combine goals, actually, but you have to make sure they don't overlap. You have to make sure there are things you can attain at the end of the day. You don't want to wake up having taken up so many goals upon yourself and not having hit even one. So that's all I have for us today. So many of us have made resolutions, like I said at the beginning of this video. It is my wish really that by the time we get to the end of this year, I mean today is the 1st, by the time we get to December, that at least the majority of us will be smiling to ourselves and patting ourselves at the back, beating our chests, that we have attained our resolutions. Because really, that is why we are alive, to solve problems, to solve challenges. And that is really what goals are. You have challenges, you have problems, you set goals and make resolutions unto yourself to be able to solve those problems, to be able to solve those challenges. I wish us all the best this year, in 2018. So far, I cannot see any comments or questions that I need to take. So, like I said, I promise to keep the video short. I don't know how many minutes I've taken. But guys, have a good year. And bye-bye.